Oh, that's right. Look, we're live. Oh my God, what a day. Broncos country, are you ready? Orange and blue today, 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Cecil, Lammey. Hope to be joined by Andrew Mason. Mace is traveling right now, so we'll see if we can catch up with him. But Sean Payton, man. It's Sean Payton. Sean Payton is here. I just got back from the Sean Payton press conference where I am over the moon. I am incredibly excited about the future of this team. I'm incredibly excited about Sean Payton as the head coach. And there are several reasons why in today's program I will go over those reasons. But Broncos country, I have to tell you, you have to be excited. There is no way in hell that you could have watched the Sean Payton press conference and not come away over the moon excited. Sean Payton, the adult in the room, such a 180 from Nathaniel Hackett and the goofiness that we saw with Hackett as the head coach of the Broncos. All that's gone. The adults are in charge, and the experienced coach is in charge and tasked with making this team awesome once again, and something that I believe he can do, and he can probably do it a lot faster than some people think. Now, I know people out there will be like, enough blowing bubbles at everybody. Like, trust me, I've covered this team long enough, 20 years in the Denver media. And even though I'm an excitable person and I like being positive, because who the hell wants to listen to negative stuff all the time? But I'm generally positive because that's just the best way to be. I haven't really felt like this with a coach basically since Fox took over for McDaniels. And there were some similarities between Nathaniel Hackett and Josh McDaniels. Now, Hackett was happy, fun, baby star, like super nice guy. McDaniels was a jerk to everybody. I mean, everybody in the building pretty much hated Josh McDaniels, except for Joe Ellis, the guy that hired him. So thanks, Joe. But either way, when you saw Fox take over, it was that experience. And it wasn't Super Bowl champion winning coach, but Super Bowl getting there coach and John Fox. And you really felt like he just knows what's important. He just knows where to spend his time and what to do with his time. We've often commented on the fan, like when Nathaniel Hackett gave up play calling duties to Clint Kubiak, who didn't do the best job that he could. And I like Clint a lot. I hope Clint's a head coach someday, but like, you had a chance with Russ and you only did a little bit of flashes. Justin Outen got a hell of a lot more out of Russ than Clint Kubiak did, getting off track. But when Kubiak took over play calling, Nathaniel Hackett didn't really know what to do. He was out in practice running drills with the guys. I guarantee you won't see Sean Payton running drills with the players. Like, it's my rep. I'm going to go into pass protection, guys. Like, what? So it's just, and this isn't a bash Hackett show. I really don't care about that. That's kind of an old and boring conversation to me because Hackett was awful. We all know he's awful. By people that a team he used to work for told me like he's a clown. Like that's why it didn't work out with him and Russell Wilson. But just the noted difference, the noted feel. I step in the building and it just feels different. Is this where I brag about having a key to the building? Like, no, I step into the building and it just feels different. From the moment I walked into UC Health Training Center, it just felt kind of like it used to. And the buzz among the media types, of course, the buzz was not if it can work out, but when it works out and how it works out. Again, positive. It was a positive mindset from everyone because you just felt like the Broncos are in good hands. And after the Sean Payton press conference, I would even tell you, it's my belief the Broncos are in great hands. This isn't an Allstate commercial, but like they're in great hands with Sean Payton because it's about the details and knowing what's most important. The future is most important. He said, we're putting the past in the rearview mirror. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. He said that as a younger head coach, he would basically, I'm paraphrasing, but he would say like he'd waste a lot of time on things that didn't matter. As an older man, myself, got the gray hair and the beard, I'll tell you, like, it's about calories. Like, what do you want to burn calories over? Like, do you really want to lose your mind because Greg Penner's golfing? Or do you want to go, what matters? What should I give my time and energy to? Sean Payton already knows what to give his time and energy to. He said a lot of things that could be construed as, shots across the bow, or kind of messages that were sent, not only at his press conference, but also the post-presser media scrum off to the side, which I was a part of. And getting to talk to Sean Payton, shake his hand, look him in the eye, and just know that he's all about football. And he talked about leaving Fox. I mean, that's a cush gig. Was it $10 million a year? That's a cush gig. But as Sean Payton said, there's nothing that replaces the feeling of winning. And he also said he kind of got jealous when he'd watch Philadelphia or Kansas City, and they're winning and they're on their way. And he kind of felt jealous because he knows what that's like. And that sort of adrenaline is addictive. That feeling is addictive to him. And I really believe it is with all the great coaches. One thing of note is that no Super Bowl winning coach has gone to another team and won a Super Bowl as well. So if Sean Payton is able to do it with the Denver Broncos, he will be the first. But I also want to remind you, it wasn't that long ago that no quarterback had changed teams after winning a Super Bowl and won another Super Bowl. Peyton Manning did it. Several others tried and have gotten there. Kurt Warner won one with the Rams, lost one with the Cardinals. Peyton Manning did it with the Colts and then with the Broncos. Wasn't that long ago when no team had ever won a Super Bowl in their home stadium, and then we had it done twice with the Buccaneers and the Rams. So I understand the history and the gravitas of the situation, but I also know that stuff's there to be broken or to be changed. And I really believe in Sean Payton. He was my pipe dream, wish, and hope for the Denver Broncos. And then I changed my mind because I looked at the compensation that was being floated out there, and I was like, you can't give up the picks. You're still paying on Russ. You're putting stuff on credit card. You can't do that. It's evil. As the compensation was then revealed, I'm like, oh, well, they didn't really give up that much for him, in my opinion. They got a little bit something back, in addition to getting Sean Payton. So the Saints happy with compensation. Broncos happy with the compensation, with the getting the right coach. Greg Penner said it twice because he talked about, he didn't think the process would take this long, but he's glad that they found the right coach. And that's exactly what Sean Payton is. He's the right coach, not only for the right now, what the Broncos need right now, but for a good chunk of time if he wants. Hope all the success in the world, hope they get to playoffs and competing for a championship, all these sorts of things. But it's not just the right guy to fix the job. You know what I mean? I would say, let's take, for example, Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott with the Buffalo Bills, I think, has hit the ceiling. He can only take him so far. He can't take him over the hump. John Fox, God bless him. I love Foxy, right? I still remember explaining Ant-Man to John Fox because two of his sons work for Marvel, and they had just done Civil War, Captain America, and then they were moving on to the first Ant-Man. And I remember Foxy telling me on the sidelines, what the hell's an Ant-Man? So I had to explain to him, as the super nerd that I am, what Ant-Man, who Ant-Man is. But anyway, but it's like John Fox. John Fox could only take you so far. He wasn't that guy to get you over the top. Gary Kubiak was. Sean McDermott, I think, can only take you so far. And he fixed the problems with Rex Ryan. I heard from Buffalo guys in the first week that Sean McDermott had that job. Oh my God, this is so different from Rex Ryan, who had would show up at noon and leave at 3, or show up at 10 and leave at 2. He was just very part-time with it. And McDermott was there. He was sleeping in the building the first week he was there. Sean Payton, I don't know where his cot's at. I know he's got some work for Fox to do for Super Bowl Sunday. But you get that feeling of okay, this is the guy not only to right the ship. Always got to enunciate that P. Right the ship. He's not only that guy to do that. He's going to do that. Have full faith, Broncos country, that he will do that. But this is also the man to continue on with the job for as long as he wants, basically. And that also goes for Russell Wilson. And there was plenty of conversation about Russell Wilson. And Russ, sorry, your whole team's access to the building, that's gone. Get them out of here. That's gone. They're gone. You're not going to have your quarterback coach. You're not going to have your 6 parking spots. You're not going to have your new treasure. You're not going to have those. They're welcome at your own facility or in your own time or your own house or whatever. In the building, it will be Broncos staff and Broncos staff only. And I love that, man. I dig that. It's part of the reasons of the disconnect with Russ and disconnect between him and the players. Sean Payton is not only here to fix Russell Wilson, he's also here for the next guy, whoever that is. And it's a great situation for him because he can run it all, and he's going to run it all. I got some thoughts on George Payton in just a little bit. But it's Sean Payton running the show. And then if Russ works out, great, because Russ, this is your best chance. This is a memo to Russell Wilson. This is your best chance to turn it around and get your career back to the postseason, get your career back to the Super Bowl. If Russell Wilson wants to continue as the Denver Broncos quarterback past 2023, he'll make it work with Sean Payton. And Sean Payton will do his best to make it work with Russell Wilson. And that's what makes this entire situation great. It makes it great because Russ has an opportunity to play good football. Sean Payton has an opportunity to get good football out of him. And if it doesn't work, you wash your hands. You move on. And you know that you did everything that you could to make things right. So, Russ, go play good football, man. Because Sean Payton's going to set you up. It's up to you to knock it down. Knock it down. Sound like Tom Jackson, right? From Louisville. This was a great day for Broncos country. I am over the moon excited about Sean Payton. So many things that he talked about in the details of things. And if you're going to be maniacal for what you do on the field and the detail that you look at on the field, then everything else must be the same way. Everything else must be the same way. You must be detailed in what you do in your scouting, in your drafting, in your free agency. There are tons of messages to George Payton today. I've got some interesting opinions on George Payton. But it's detail-oriented football. A little old school, because football is always going to be football, okay? And you can analytics and who was it? Rand Carthon when he took over the Titans job. And I love Rand Carthon, love Adam Peters, love John Lynch with the 49ers. Fantastic organization. And Rand Carthon's like, we've always done analytics. We just didn't call it that. Football is always football. You can dress it up and use acronyms like, here's your DVOA, which is fine. I love the Football Outsiders crew. A lot of them are my good friends. But, like, football's football. So you can take some of the new school and you can learn and you can look at things and you could study analytics and all these sorts of things. But there's a toughness. There's a mentality. There's an unselfishness that goes into this game. It's the ultimate team sport. I think it's why football is life. So many things you can learn from football that you can put toward your own life in teamwork, in working hard, in working through pain. Like, that's what it takes with football. So Sean Payton's a little bit of old school, a little bit of new school, little rock and roll, little country, and I am here for it. Now, George Payton didn't say anything for the first 25 minutes of the press conference. And in fact, I don't think body language should be read into too much, but it was interesting to note George Payton was over here, Greg Penner was over here, and Sean Payton was kind of doing this with George Payton right here. Like, kind of had his shoulder just slightly turned away from him, not squared, and like he's in the conversation. It was like, oh, me and Greg, we're talking. Oh, yeah, and this guy over here. It's interesting. I don't think George Payton has a job much longer unless he starts crushing things. You got to start crushing things. Enough of this, like, being average or even below average in his drafting. And I understand people will look at, all these, look at Greg Dulcich and, But I could also point you to, I don't know, Chigi Okonkwo with the Titans, right? I could point you to Isaiah Likely with the Ravens. And I could point you to this year's class, which is much better, incredibly much better than last year's class. And you're not done at tight end, by the way. But if you're George Payton, like, stop taking victory laps. This isn't the defense getting a pass breakup or, dare I say, an interception when you're down by 23 and then running the end zone so you can selfie it up and sit down and take a picture in the camera, like, which I think is really stupid. Like, look at the scoreboards, dude. George Payton, look at the scoreboard. Just because you got Pat Surtain doesn't mean you should be taking a victory lap. Everyone knew Pat Surtain was a stud. Everyone knew Pat Surtain was can't miss. You took the safest pick in the draft. You didn't take a chance on Micah Parsons. who did have some, concerns, off field concern, character concerns, whatever you want to say. And Parsons is maybe more of an egregious miss than the miss on Justin Fields, because the book's still out on Justin Fields, in my opinion. Chicago should be interested in Bryce Young with their pick, getting off track. But like, we got to stop with this like George Payton safe stuff. No. And Sean Payton doesn't want a yes man, because when George Payton did talk, he's like, we should move our offices closer together, right, Sean? And Sean's look on his face was just like, okay. Again, they put on the air. It was definitely put out that me and George really get along, where your body language didn't necessarily show that. And, George Payton didn't have a whole lot to say. I know it's Sean Payton's day, but that's your general manager who has already been basically publicly neutered when you fired Nathaniel Hackett by Greg Penner. And I love the fact that Greg Penner is like business. And it's like, let Sean Payton do the work. That's another thing that Sean Payton is here to do. And it's the reason why I think George Payton could be gone after the draft. Because if you don't get it done, man, if you don't start picking the better picks, do I need to bring up their names again for the zillionth time? I know some people get upset when all I do is talk about Tariq Woolen or Isaiah Pacheco, but damn it, they were right there for you. Not even two starters, but two stars, Pro Bowl talented players in rounds 5, 6, 7. And you were just like, huh? Let's get Montrell Washington. Like, let's go. What did Russ say about Montrell? Like, let's get Delarian Turner-Yell, who can't play. Like, just total blinders. If you're George Payton, you can't do that, man. You can't let a Pro Bowl, all-pro corner like Tariq Woolen just slip through your fingers because you wanted some safety that can't play. Delarian Turner-Yell, the pick right before Tariq Woolen. So I'm not sure if George Payton is safe, and I do not believe that Sean Payton is the type that wants to just have a yes man. Sean Payton wants to be challenged. Sean Payton even said that he would be a little bit of a tyrant. He's like, where's that come from? But he could be a little bit. But I think he wants a good back and forth, much like the good back and forth that you all get with me and Andrew Mason. Check it in. Mace, how's it going, man?
All right, it's going all right. This is like, yeah, why I have a tag dangling down here. I'm at the airport. I'm getting ready to go to Phoenix.
Okay.
Gonna basically gonna be asking an awful lot of people the next few days about Sean Payton and about what to expect. About what to expect for the Broncos this year, and hopefully run into the Kelsey brothers a little bit and maybe getting some dirt on Derek Wolf, our coworker. But
yeah, they'll give you plenty of
yeah.
dirt on Derek, that's for sure. But
Oh yeah.
I love it, man. I love the Sean Payton press conference. I've been going on for 20 minutes. I'm over the moon. What were your thoughts, Mace?
Oh, I'll tell you what. As I get this thing stabilized here, there we go. He basically said what I think a lot of us wanted to hear, right? He said that he didn't like, for example, the answer he gave about why he's picking the Eagles. He doesn't want a division rival to get anything good.
Perfect.
Yes, chef's kiss, right?
Yes.
Magnificent. The attention to detail, and you think about this. There's an old NFL adage that you and I are both aware of, that usually the coach that you hire is the opposite of the one that you replaced, right? Well, in some ways, Nathaniel Hackett was the opposite of Vic Fangio, offense rather than defense, younger rather than older, um, related well to his players rather than related poorly to his players.
Right.
Well, Sean Payton's the opposite of Nathaniel Hackett, but in some different ways. And it starts with, I think, attention to detail. This is a guy who, as he related today, made a big deal about the size of the rally towers given out to fans at the Superdome for a playoff game, saying, hey, these things are too small. He made sure that they had a stereo system in the locker room, $30,000, so that when the team celebrated on the road, people could hear them celebrating in as many places around the building as possible. This is somebody for whom no detail is too small. And you contrast that with last year with Nathaniel Hackett. A lot of the details got lost, right? as you can hear the airport thing around me.
Right.
The details getting lost, such as being able to get the plays in on time, right? And he did, by the way, say that in a small group afterward. There we go, that's all better. Said that in a small group afterward that the fans aren't going to have to do a countdown this time. There's not going to be that. So you think about all the details that went wrong, and that helped bit by bit lead to the fall of Nathaniel Hackett. And now you have a coach here who is going to do the exact opposite. And that's the thing I was heartened by, excuse me. And then the other thing, of course, is putting the social media stallion in the barn, right? And I don't think that was just about Russell Wilson.
No, I think it was about the team and the
I think it was.
showing
I think
everything.
this was the organization. Look, we haven't seen behind the Broncos this year on a hopscotching around the country. This is going to be different. There's going to be less put out there, in part because I think Sean Payton wants this team to approach via stealth, and I think also because Payton believes this team's got to earn it, and nothing it has done in the last 7 seasons shows it's earned attention.
Yeah, I thought that was a great about being anonymous contributors. I'm messing up his terminology exactly. And Mace, I was in that scrum afterwards. So that 30-second thing got people chuckling. And then also his comments about Russell Wilson's team's not going to be in there. That was something I know D-Mac's playing the heck out of the audio. And it's something that I know we'll be talking about because, that was maybe a point of contention. And Payton immediately crushed it today. Like, no, it will be Broncos personnel only in the Broncos facility.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sorry, Jake Heaps, because you and I would see Jake Heaps there on the side of the field during practice. Not just training camp practice that were open to everybody, but practices in season. You'd see Heaps there along the end line, along the sideline. That's done. Team Russ isn't going to have the run of the building anymore. And look, if the Broncos had won last year, everything's fine and dandy with that, right? But they didn't win. They lost. And that's the sort of situation where resentment builds up. If Russ wants that kind of special treatment, he's going to have to earn it. He's got to earn it back. And even then, if they succeed, I don't think he's going to get the special treatment because the lack of special treatment is going to be rightfully a reason why things got better.
Yes. Yeah. So what works? Now do what works. And that was another thing about Payton's comments. Sean Payton said, we're going to figure out what our players do good, and we're going to do that. It's simple, but it seems revolutionary, Mace.
And he pointed to the last 2 weeks of the season, right?
Yes.
Of how Russ looked. So it's what that tells me is what we saw with Justin Outten guiding the offense. I think we're going to see something very similar going forward. But play to the strength. And this is where the Parcells school, and Sean Payton, he is very much a Parcells disciple in terms of overall leadership philosophy. The Parcells school is mold what you're doing to the talents of your players. That's one of the reasons why it's translated. And as I was telling D-Mac and Derek on the drive earlier this hour, it's a reason why, for example, Bill Belichick, who is a Parcells disciple, has been successful. It's not wedded to a specific tactic or schematic philosophy. It is about putting your players in a situation where they can flourish, playing to their strengths, masking their deficiencies, minimizing their weaknesses. He mentioned that at the press conference today. And that's a sort of philosophy, Cecil, that it's timeless, okay? And it's adaptable. So in other words, as the times change, as the tactics change, these core principles are going to be as valuable now as they were when Bill Parcells first went to the playoffs as a head coach back in 1984, and when Sean Payton first went to the playoffs as a head coach back in 2006. These are time-tested philosophies that work.
Time-tested philosophies that work, and Sean Payton talked about old school mixed with new school, and I'm here for that balance as well.
I am too. And I think last year the pendulum went too far in the new school direction. And I think Vic was too far in the old school direction. The philosophies that work marry old and new school. I mean, you know what? Kyle Shanahan is a younger coach, but there are a lot of old school principles that the 49ers do that work for Kyle Shanahan, right? It's not just, it's recent and it's dazzling. No, you watch what the 49ers do, and there are echoes of things that we saw working in the 1990s. So that's the thing. There are some time-tested ideas that work and will continue to work as the game evolves. I'm going to sound so old school, but it's true, right? I mean, we were out there watching Senior Bowl practice and Shrine Bowl practice. You know what? What makes a good football player is pretty much the same as it was when you and I started being down at Senior Bowl practices back in the early to mid 2000s, right? It hasn't changed that much, not yet.
Right. And I like how Sean Payton also brought up being a younger coach and spending a lot. He talked about batteries. Like, I don't play video games much, but you don't pay attention to your battery level. And then as an older man, as we're older men, for me, it's about calories. Like, what is it worth my time to lose my mind because Greg Penner's playing golf? No. Is it worth my time to look at the draft and look at the prospects? Yes. So with Sean Payton, he said, as an older coach, he might be a little tyrant-like, but he's also going to know what to give his energy to.
Right. And you think about last week, and look, some of that was with our, what was with our website and at our station. There was a lot of bandwidth that was wasted, I feel, on a big indignance over that. Greg Penner shouldn't be golfing. You know what? Here's the thing. Greg Penner's going to let Sean Payton coach, right? And Sean Payton's earned that trust to do the job. So yeah, Penner can go off and take a rare opportunity to go play Pebble Beach. That's okay because Sean Payton's back there minding the store, doing what he needs to do. And I don't know if you've gotten into the coordinator situation yet, but certainly it looks more and more like Sean Desai is the favorite in the clubhouse now that Brian Flores is going to the Minnesota Vikings. And so that's an interesting thing because you're going to have the experienced handing Sean Payton, but if it's Desai, then he's been a coordinator once with Chicago, didn't go all that well. You're hoping things will be different, but that's something I'm sure we're going to get into in the coming days.
Yes, we will. Why wasn't Steve Wilkes up for the job? Because I think he's probably going to San Francisco, which is great for the 49ers, by the way. But I love Steve Wilkes. I think he should be a head coach. But I'm curious as to why the Broncos didn't lean in his direction.
It's a good question. I think this is basically as simple as Sean Payton wanted Vic Fangio, didn't get him, and asking Vic, okay, if you're going to Miami, whose name you can recommend? Because the last guy that Vic recommended in that sort of way was Brandon Staley. We can debate Brandon Staley's merits as a head coach from now until the end of time. But Brandon Staley did prove to be an exceptional defensive coordinator.
So there you go. Yeah. All right, you're on the road to the Super Bowl. We are looking forward to that. More of our coverage at denversports.com. It's great to have the dynamic duo back. Be looking forward to all your insights down there in Phoenix. He's Andrew Mason. Follow him on Twitter at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey. Don't follow me. Until next time, be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned, and I ask that you please all stay frosty.